The time it flooded. Houston experienced serious flooding in the 2.5 years we lived in the container. The Memorial Day flood in May of 2015 and the Tax Day flood in April 2016. Both times the water stopped just short of our threshold. The first time, in 2015, we just hunkered down. Thankfully, we were able to use our cell phones to find the live stream of a local news station so we could watch as the hysteria unfolded. I know many people that went out that evening and got stuck or had their cars damaged. The last time Houston had a major flooding event was Tropical Storm Allison in 2001, so not too many people were worried. I think my moment of panic came when I opened the door to go out to our bathhouse and saw the water had already submerged the bottom step of our container. I watched as some of our garden supplies floated by. Armed with my umbrella and rain boots, I tried to make it to the bathhouse, sloshing through the calf-deep water, only to find everything bobbing off kilter, the bricks completely covered with water. There was nothing we could do. We stayed plugged into the live stream on Zach's phone, using mine to check the radar and make phone calls, hoping the rain would just stop. The good thing was our building permit was approved at the beginning of the year, so we were tied into the grid and didn't have to worry about the generator drowning. We also had a mini fridge so we could eat and cook without having to go outside. But in case the power did go out, we were fully prepared. We just watched and waited. The next time I opened the door, the water was only a few inches below the threshold. We started to move items away from the door and tried to get valuables off the floor in case water came in. Thankfully, it finally stopped in the early morning hours and we could get some sleep. That morning, when I opened the door, I could only see a lake that spanned multiple properties. The water was almost as deep as our rain boots were high, but we made it. And it made us aware of the low spots of our property, how the floodwaters recede, and what we needed to watch out for. The Memorial Day flood dropped 162 billion gallons of water on Houston. 11 months later, the Tax Day flood brought 240 billion gallons of water in roughly the same time frame of just a few days. Despite the steep increase, the good news was that our experience didn't really change much from the Memorial Day flood, even though we had our foundation piers drilled, subfloor installed, and some exterior walls framed. As part of the site preparation, we also had our civil engineering in place, a shallow moat that made its way around the house and carried the water to the front ditch. The water still rose just as high as before around our container and house, but because we had built at the correct height, everything worked as it should. Many other people were not so lucky. As we hunkered down, again glued to the live stream of the news on our phone, we saw for the first time parents pushing their kids to safety in refrigerators through the floodwaters as they themselves were waist deep in water. Boats were dispatched to neighborhoods. Animals and owners were pulled out of chest-high flooded houses and apartment buildings. People in big trucks with raised cabs, often ridiculed by outsiders as the quintessential Texas tough symbol, became heroes as they barreled across the city, making multiple trips into neighborhoods, rescuing as many people as they could. Say what you want about those freedom-loving Texans, but when shit hits the fan, or billions of gallons of water are dropped on the city, they are quick to respond, and lend a helping hand.